All right, thanks so much for staying with us. This is the last one between you and dinner, right? Or happy hour, so this will be good. I'm excited for the panelists that we have today. I just met them earlier, and they are very knowledgeable, so I'm excited to hear what they have to say. The first one is Matthew Gonzalez, the business manager for Labor's Local 1095. So come on up, and I'll have you introduce yourself for just a second, and then we'll have Mark come up and introduce himself.
Good afternoon. My name is Matthew Gonzalez, business manager of Labor's Local 1095. We're an affiliate of the Laborers International Union of North America. We represent over 550,000 members in the construction industry across the U.S. and Canada.
Go ahead and have a seat. Mark, come on up. And Mark is with NextLab, Abilene Christian University. All right, Mark, I'm going to have you introduce yourself. And you guys can find bios, and if you want to dig a little deeper, go on the app.
Thank you. Mark DeHart, not so much NextLab. NextLab invited me here. Rusty Towell was going to be here from NextLab, and he had a conflict. I am the department head for the Nuclear Science and Engineering department at ACU, at Abilene Christian University. I am actually the whole department right now. I'm hiring staff. We are planning to start students in graduate programs in this August. I come to ACU. I'm an Aggie originally, but I've been gone for 36 years. I came back to Texas and to Abilene in June of this year. So I spent 36 years in the National Laboratory System in the nuclear research area. Now I'm building from the ground up again.
Great, thank you so much. Just raise your hand if you, in your industry or whatever you're working on, if you have workforce issues. Okay, you should come up and be on the panel too. No, we are experiencing a workforce crisis. There's a lot of new technologies coming up, innovation, and with quantum and with advanced nuclear, we're looking at a workforce shortage, not just in that industry, but all over. So what we're going to do today is tackle this issue, and I'm going to go ahead and start with a question. Oh, this is a good one. I'll probably riff later, but I'll go with what they have here. What are the most immediate bottlenecks today? Is it skilled labor, manufacturing capacity, or coordination across the ecosystem? Who wants to take that first? Okay.
The answer is yes. It's all three. Manufacturing is a problem because we're doing so many different things, so many different reactor concepts. They're all next generation, but they're spread all over the place. So we have not one model that everyone's building. The workforce is a serious challenge. That's our biggest bottleneck. We cannot get enough workforce out there. I'm training graduate students in nuclear engineering, but for every one that I produce, we need 1,000 people in trade crafts, and they aren't there. The third issue really is HALEU, it's fuel itself, the production of HALEU. If we make the reactors and if we have the people, we don't have enough fuel. We really, to meet the requirements that we project, we can produce about 25% of that in the U.S. right now. We need to look at actually potentially buying from Russia, buying from somewhere to get the uranium we need if we're going to get on the path to power that we want.
So, Matt, can you talk about this for just a minute? The one I just want to mention is that the uranium from Russia we're not doing that right now. So we need to find another place to do that. But there's also some expansion going on in the fuel department as well. So, Matt, talk to us about this issue.
So I would agree that there's definitely some challenges that exist in the current industry. So by and large, and specific to Texas, we're experiencing the largest construction boom in the last 2 to 3 decades. And contractors, developers are all competing for the same workforce. And so you're also witnessing mobile workforces moving in and out from state to state in search of higher wages plus per diems, and it's constant competition. And so it does require folks to be on the ground, organizations to be prepared, building the foundation of what's going to be the future workforce, and partnering with organizations such as the Texas Workforce Commission, workforce boards across each individual community to ensure that we're tapping into all of the pipelines.
So
The
is that not happening now?
It is.
Okay.
It is. I think we're also witnessing resurgence of construction courses being reintroduced to high school programs and CTE departments all across the country. We're not excluded from that. We're happy to say that we have a pre-apprenticeship program in San Antonio in partnership with San Antonio ISD to do just that.
Great, great. Okay. What does a realistic workforce pipeline look like over the next 3 to 5 years if nuclear deployment accelerates? I know you've answered parts of that, but what does that pipeline look like?
Not knowing what the manpower demands are going to be for an individual project, if we were to use AI data centers as a baseline, those require up to 1,400 positions of skilled tradesmen to produce, develop, and bring a project online. And so if we were to assume SMRs, and there's different applications in the development of those SMRs, if we're going to create those at large scale to the size of what an AI data center would be, you're definitely looking at mass need on top of what we're already experiencing.
In my vision, I guess, I see 3 tiers. I see immediately, we have no the only nuclear trades training in the state of Texas is at Wharton Junior College in Bay City, and they have an associate's degree in nuclear, various nuclear aspects. But I mean, to just get people familiar with what nuclear is, what nuclear requires, welders to be able to work at INC, construction, even in concrete, there are certain requirements, a lot of requirements from a regulatory perspective that people need to be aware of. And they need to know what radiation is and what it means to work in this industry. The money's going to be there. They'll be well paid, but they have to be ready to jump in and know more about this. Longer term, I think we need to stand up programs. I'm speaking from Texas because that's what I've been looking at, but it's nationwide. It's any place that they're being as aggressive as Texas in building facilities. They are going to need to put in place formal programs, trade school programs that can go in the next 2 to 3, 4 years. And then 4 years is where I'm looking at supplementing with the more advanced degrees. And you know, my program is only graduate school. University of Texas has a graduate program. Texas A&M has undergraduate and graduate. So there is a pipeline, but we are not putting enough people out there to meet the workforce. We have the workforce right now, nuclear workforce in the country is about 70,000 people, and about 40% of those are on the verge of retirement. To meet the requirements that we need now, we need around 400,000 nuclear workers. That's our bottleneck. We just don't have that. We don't have the mechanism in place to be able to provide, fill that pipeline.
Okay, so I'm going to get personal here for just a minute, if you don't mind. Let me
Sure.
say this and then. So I have a 19-year-old son who is in the Navy. Just joined the Navy right out of high school, and he is on the path to becoming a nuclear operator. He's just finishing up his first school. He did basic already, and that finishes next month. And that took 6 months. Then he has another school that's going to take about 8 months. And then he has another school that'll take a year, and then he'll be finished up. So about 2 years, a little over 2 years total, before he can qualify as a nuclear operator in the military. But there are several different levels. Is that considered a pipeline that's been useful in the past, in some of the past work?
Yes, and
Or
in
for the
fact,
future?
the reactor company, Net Sure, building the reactor in Abilene, most of their growth has been Navy retirees, long-term career people or short-term. The Navy just didn't have enough throughput, and we don't want that throughput, but that's the kind of program we need. Navy has the instructors, they have the equipment, and they are getting the bodies, but that's not enough by itself. But that is certainly our best feed right now.
Right, but the program is something that could be borrowed?
Oh, absolutely. I think we could. I mean, they're training for a specific reactor or set of reactors. We're talking about different reactor types here, but the training, the basics of nuclear are the same. The physics are the same. So that same program outline could be applied in the U.S. and trade schools.
Yeah, and I think the only thing I would add to that, just for clarity's sake, I may not be able to articulate or elaborate further on that question, but as it relates to the construction of these projects, that's where we come into play. And so to ensure that you have the rank and file skilled tradesmen on the ground to be able to turn dirt and then pour concrete and bring these projects to life, that's where it's going to take skilled, qualified, experienced organizations, many of those who are unions, and we have Department of Labor registered training and apprenticeship programs. And there's many non-union entities out there who are also capable of doing some great things, and so not to diminish the work that they do, but it does require hand-in-hand coalition working together to bring about the development of this workforce in order to bring this to a success.
Thank you. Okay, so let's talk about the gaps now. So let's start with next. What do you think? Well, I'm just going to riff again. I think that to try to align better with our industry needs, we need to first out do a kind of a, what do they call it? You need to do some mapping. What are you doing that mapping work that needs to take place to find the gaps? And if so, what does that look like?
Yes, I've been here since June, and I've taken workforce. I got involved with the study at UT Austin this summer, and kind of picked up on this workforce development, seeing what we need. Of course, as faculty, I'm also looking for funding opportunities. Anyone that give me money, I can use to grow programs. Next Lab is going to be a first level training facility. We'll have the ability to train reactor operators. We will be training reactor operators at the facility. These will be trained to go work for Natura at their commercial plants. We'll be able to train people not really with a technical focus, not with the skilled trades, but more on the bachelor's level and master's level students to have some experience and know what it is. In theory and in books, it's nice, but to have a real reactor and really understand how these things function and the behavior of these systems is very important. I am working to expand. I am looking for funding to develop programs at Texas State Technical College as a starting point, just because they're right there in Abilene. But I would like to get the DOE, the Department of Energy, to plant reactor simulators there at ACU, at a number of universities, and then I'm working with in this plan, there's a grant for $6 million, $3 million of that is hardware. So putting simulators in, putting detectors in, putting radiation counters in, sources in, things that give a sense of reality that can be taught in a classroom, but allow people to really get a grasp of what a nuclear system looks like, how it works, why it works. It's very simple and it's not scary, but you've got to see it to believe it. You've got to play with these toys, if you will, to understand how things work. On the training side, the NRC is the Nuclear Regulatory Commission is wanting to see nuclear skilled workforce. They want to see people that have a knowledge. You can't just bring in a person a pipe fitter. You can't just bring in a pipe fitter. You can't bring in people that have done this for years unless they're qualified to work in a nuclear environment. That's just the way it is. but we've got all sorts of other key trades that were non-destructive examination, be able to look at welds and look at the parts inside of a reactor system. Skills that we just don't have the people for. We don't have the headcount to be able to do and the quality welding that has to be done. And concrete is the nightmare of nuclear reactor systems. That's what drove the process up at Vogtle, was partly the supply chain, providing but knowing exactly how to pour it, how to get rebar, have all the holes in the right place, so all the instrumentation, which is run later, can be put in place. If you misplace a hole, you have to drill through the concrete and the rebar, and that's millions of dollars right there.
Do you want to add to that, Matthew? Just as I'm thinking, there are gaps in some of the programs with labor, and I don't know. I was thinking apprenticeships, or how could we fill those gaps on the labor level?
Absolutely. So across the country, there still are apprenticeship programs. Here in Texas, there's apprenticeship programs that allow individuals to go through a 2, 4, 6-year structured program to where they are able to earn and learn. So they're able to earn wages and benefits for them and their families while they work. And what it does is it ensures that going through that rigorous structured training, at the end of it, they are more skilled and qualified and leave with the certifications and knowledge that is necessary to perform adequately there on these projects. And so I'm very fascinated with the work that you do with your students there. Won't pretend to know half of what you do, but aside from the construction phase, post-construction, there's also skilled tradesmen that are necessary in those nuclear facilities for O&M. And so it's an ongoing thing to ensure that the livelihood of these facilities are top-notch and operating to spec.
Thanks. So, Mark, it sounds like the work of mapping the local ecosystem has been done. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think we have a pretty good idea of what needs to be done, but we don't have a plan is useless without the funding and the direction. And TANEO, the Texas Advanced Nuclear TANEO, is a step in the right direction, and they're really making it easy for Texas to advance nuclear in a number of different ways. The capital and training and building facilities, but until Texas is putting a lot of money. Other states are doing it. Wyoming is putting a lot of money into the reactor facility and the training to support a reactor in Wyoming. Indiana, a couple other states, Utah or Tennessee, are also growing this. It's not nationwide yet. It needs to be. Again, looking here at Texas, I think we know it needs to be done, but the state has to put the money in and start developing the trade level training that does not exist in this state.
Okay, thank you so much. So I'm going to go rogue again, but this is the softball. If you could wave a magic wand and make anything happen in, let's say, the state of Texas, what would that look like? Besides just the money, what does that look like? Is it just a proviso, or is it really just money? Or is there anything else that you need from? So I'm a state legislator. That's what I do, and if I were a legislator in Texas, what could I do to help this situation, to help fill those gaps? And how much money are we talking?
You would definitely need support from our elected officials for this to move forward. We definitely need the financing and capital, but beyond that, you need developers who have the capacity to bring these to fruition. Doing all of these things and aligning those items, we are going to be more primed to see this be built out. You see the massive explosion of AI data centers here in Texas. That's with intent from these developers, and the state of Texas has said, we welcome you. And so I heard a statistic the other day there are 400 data centers already under construction or online in Texas, with another 1,000 in the queue. And so if these nuclear reactors get any kind of momentum that is similar, we're all going to be hard pressed to keep up. And that's a good problem to have.
So I'm from Washington, and Washington politically looks a whole lot different from Texas. What do you think some of the advantages are to those out here that don't necessarily live in Texas? What do you foresee as some of the problems? And you know, what are the political realities that those that don't have this same political situation that you have?
My opinion, lack of political will to make the hard decision. If you're in, well, I don't know, Washington or Oregon or California or Massachusetts, it's an uphill battle to be able to justify spending the money in nuclear. They've recognized the need for nuclear. There's clear, in California reopened San Onofre. They've recognized it, but when they are short on budgets and money's tight, they need the will to be able to incentivize and build nuclear and all the infrastructure around it and to fund it. I think you also have to do it. You can't do it in one state. Texas can't do it all. The states have to work together. The vendors will be all over the country in providing, but we states need to work together to provide the licensing, sharing information, sharing data, training, teaching. I mean, Texas would like to stand up and say, hey, this is how you do it. Well, Texas is doing it for the first time through as well, so we're figuring it out ourselves. But the legislature has gone and made 3 major bills in the last 2 years that move this forward. Other states need to either do that or let someone else do it.
If I can add to that, I sat in the audience where you spoke on a panel earlier, and you spoke about a bill that you put forward in your state and some of the challenges that you had to overcome there and bringing different folks together to do that. And another comment that was made in that panel was, there has to be some support from the federal government to allow the states to do this. And I think that that's also a key component to make sure that we have the support and the flexibility to do what we need to on the ground.
Thanks, and thanks for bringing that up. What he's referring to is the bill, the nuclear bill that I did pass, and it was mentioned here just a little bit earlier, but I had to work with labor. In the first year, the problem with labor was we got all the labor unions that needed to be in the room for something to be built out. For an SMR to be built out in the state of Washington, we needed to have everyone represented. So what we did was, invited them all in the room and sat down and said, hey, we want to get this incentive passed. What can we do? We need some language. We need labor language because it's not going to pass in the state of Washington without labor language. It's just not. It's just, so we needed that. But to have everyone sit down and agree on what that language was going to be, that was not an easy task. So I think what I guess my question is can the unions get together and work on language or something that you could, I guess it's hard because you're in Texas, right? But isn't there some work you can do prior so that we don't have to take 3 years to pass a bill with labor language in it?
Yeah, so there's currently national agreements in place where if utilized, it streamlines that process and everybody participating on the project operates under the same guidelines. National maintenance agreement, which is normally used in auto manufacturing, is run through the general presidents of each international union, and then it's sent down to the local unions on the ground for approval. Essentially, it's standard language. The developer, the contractor, every local union, every union member out on those jobs, they follow it like the law. And so if that's utilized more commonly, it'll make things a lot easier.
Okay, so if there's any private developers out here that utilize, this private industry, how, I guess my question's for you. How do you, is it a problem to have a project labor agreement with the unions who typically are the ones that do that work of building? Is there anyone here that can help out with that? Okay, no big developers in the room? All right, so it can be a real problem because you don't want to stifle private industry by having labor language that would not allow them to have an opportunity. You don't want to take opportunity away from private industry. But at the same time, the nuclear industry, at least in the Tri-Cities, at least in Washington State, I can say with absolute 100% assurity that there has not been construction in private industry work on a reactor. It's all been labor. So that's just a reality in Washington. That's why I needed to move forward to include labor in that bill, and I really did, take some political risks. But if I don't get reelected, that's okay. I feel like I did the right thing.
Well, and I commend you for that. The one thing I would say, just so that we're not painting everybody with the broad brush, you will find that there are going to be some union organizations and representatives that are much easier to work with than others. And then going back to an earlier question, concerns. If we, again, using data centers as an example, unless we're educating the community at large of what positive components these SMRs add to our community and our way of being, unless we're providing that education out front, we're going to be hit with a huge wave of opposition and town halls and city council meetings flooded with citizens that are against these projects.
Oh, thank you so much for bringing that up. I was just at MIT for the Keynes conference, and they were talking about marketing and communication in this. And there was a gentleman that had a reactor, a nuclear reactor, made from wood, and it was for kids and parents, and he takes them to different communities so that communities can really see what this is and kind of walk through it and get a simple understanding of what a reactor actually looks like from the inside out. And it was kind of like a hands-on little walking museum that they just plop down in any park and say, this is here for the next 3 weeks, come bring your kids, that kind of thing. And also want to say in Utah, I was just driving down, what is that, I-15 in Utah, and they had billboards up because I know they're trying to do the Project Gigawatt or
That's it.
Is that it? Okay, so they're doing this project, and so I saw they have billboards on the side of I-15 saying, like, did you know, like, there's a big picture of a huge bunch of bananas. And it says, did you know that a nuclear worker, gets less REM than eating these bananas? Or something, it's just some random fact about nuclear and how safe it is. And I saw a couple of those along the freeway, just saying different facts, one little sentence here, one little sentence there. You're absolutely right. I think education is a huge part of it. Can you speak to that a little bit about how we as a state or your state can do a little better job of, and maybe also encouraging the trades?
I love the banana. Bananas have potassium in it, and there's some radioactive component. And you can give a dose in banana equivalents, and that has been done before.
And potato chips.
And potato chips, yeah. And that is meaningful. You say radiation, people are scared, but I get radiation laying next to my wife in bed because of the radiation coming from her, and it goes both ways. Those bananas have got radiation, and be able to show people detectors of bananas and certain things that are very natural and people see, and show the radiation exists everywhere, just in rocks. We're building that reactor. We're going to have it's not going to be mobile, but we're going to have a real reactor there. Open window, people can go and look at the reactor. They can come in now, and people are doing that now. So the community is already getting plugged in. The Abilene community is already familiar with this reactor. the Abilene community is also knowing that all these data centers are being built in Abilene because of the natural gas pipeline. And they know that we are burning a ton of natural gas because we don't have reactors yet. So people are saying, they're thinking, oh, I'd rather have reactors here. There is an acceptance overall of the acceptability of nuclear as opposed to carbon.
Awesome, yeah.
Yeah, so it's getting positive reviews that way. And that's playing across the country. I think nuclear is gaining ground as a carbon-free solution over everything. It's more carbon-free than wind or solar because of the production materials. So it's not easy. It's not easy working in a world where bad news sells, and we're terrified that we'll have one little mistake when we're starting up this reactor, and it'll be amplified, and it will hurt the program. Not going to have an accident, but you have one little error. The NRC says no, you can't do that. That's front page news. So we have to be very careful and very deliberate. I don't think other industries have that same scrutiny. I think chemical industries can be very dangerous and get away with a lot because they're just not the focus of media. Back to the trades, there's an atomic workers union in the U.S., and it is throughout most of the states. And the U.S. national labs, they are also unionized. But what you were talking about earlier, the apprenticeship thing, that is a phenomenal way to get this program going. That's probably the only way. The problem is getting the first set of people, the instructors. They could be retired but have some background in nuclear that can start doing that apprenticeship, because apprentices become the masters, and then they can bring in more apprentices. That's the way we want to grow the system.
No, absolutely. And then, the apprenticeship model over the course of the U.S. history, we go back to the 50s and 60s when there was a middle class that was, more pronounced than what we have today. It was all through organized labor. And so reintroducing that in a way where your masses understand that this is accessible, that this is a prime opportunity for them to tap into a mechanism so that they can invest in themselves, and then at the end be able to provide a well-meaning life of sustainability for them and their families.
So, as a mom, if I wasn't a nuclear, if this wasn't something that I knew a lot about, I would be concerned if my kid wanted to go into the nuclear industry. I think I would say, is it safe? Are you gonna? So, when I went to a Fusion Week last year, we had a panel kind of similar to this. And one of the gals was from California, who's running a program she just, the only thing she does is make sure that the information gets to the information of what exists here, the different pipelines and organizations you can join, and the trades, and what apprenticeships are out there. Her sole job in the entire state of California is just getting that information out. I think we have a massive disconnect between industry and kids knowing about it and parents knowing about it. Number one, this is a great paying industry. The construction jobs are, unionized. There's usually prevailing wage attached. This is a really good job to have. What are you doing as from Next and from your perspective with labor? What are you doing to get the word out to the communities, the parents, the kids? That this is a great opportunity.
Absolutely. I'll take that one. So in Austin, for example, we have been at the table in the development of the Austin Infrastructure Academy. This is spearheaded by Austin Mayor Kurt Watson in collaboration with Austin Community College and the local Workforce Solutions Office. We sit on an advisory panel there. And what the Infrastructure Academy does is it collects all of the information from all the different training institutions and feeder pipelines to be able to consolidate that in one location. Interested people in the community can go to this Infrastructure Academy. They do an initial assessment to figure out what pathway they want to choose, whether it's IT, construction, welding, you name it, and then from there, they're put in contact with each organization to go through that process. And so this is coming on a full year anniversary of it being in place, and we're already seeing people being placed to work. We've actually accepted folks into our program from that academy. And so, again, that's just one example. But making sure that, us as labor representatives are in the community, at high schools, at job fairs, community resource fairs, that's how we meet that need.
I came back to Texas after 15 years in Idaho, and we had a local section of the American Nuclear Society, the Idaho American Nuclear Society, and our mission was outreach. We were not there. I mean, we would get together once a month for dinner, but what we did was outreach. We gave fire detectors to fire stations to distribute to people, but we also explained to them, this is nuclear. You've got some nuclear material in here, and this is how it works. We focused on STEM. We did day at the museum, where we talk about different aspects of STEM, including nuclear. But you have to get the kids. I mean, the kids. The last 20 years, they've seen Homer Simpson holding green glowing goo and putting his feet up on a desk. That's the vision people have. So we need to change the visions, let the people see, let people hold things. You let people hold. This is a uranium rock. This is what it looks like. It's not hurting you. This came out of the ground. Teach people a little bit about what this stuff is and how it works and how it's not scary. I think what people don't realize is that a nuclear plant and a coal plant are about the same thing. The coal burns and the fission burns, but you're just making heat, and you're turning that heat into steam, and you're taking that steam to turn turbines. It's exactly the same process, just a different source of heat. So you got to make it a little more user friendly, and get the Homer Simpsons out of the picture.
Okay, so we have a few minutes left. I want to see if, first of all, if there's any questions from our audience, and if not, I have one last question for them. And again, I'm going rogue. Okay, go ahead.
There's been a lot of talk, especially with the Department of Defense, Department of War, expects fully American supply chains for anything that they're going to adopt. I mean, how is that starting to come together aside from the fuel?
On the nuclear side, yeah, they're all working with startups still, but it's BWXT is a big nuclear company, and they've worked with the defense for years, and so they're building their first test reactor. They are looking at all the American startups. They're all American technologies. I mean, NetSure, the one that's building the company, it's an American startup, and all resources are being sourced short of fuel. And we'd have no control of fuel. Fuel comes from the Department of Energy, so that's what it is. There is a shortage of American trained nuclear engineers, so we're getting a lot of foreign-born, maybe green card or U.S. citizens, but naturalized U.S. citizens to fill the need. That's a little bit of a challenge. Green card especially, but if you're a naturalized citizen, it doesn't make a difference. You're a citizen and you can have access and work at these programs. But beyond that, it does get difficult. People from France, it can cost, even a U.S. citizen from France, to denounce your citizenship in France could cost $10,000, $20,000, and the Department of Defense doesn't like that if you are a citizen of two countries. So they've actually got around that. They make you swear that you are not going to be a U.S. citizen only and not do anything French until after you retire, and then you can go back being French. That works. So, I mean, there's things to make it work, but it is a challenge finding, for those programs, finding enough people that can that are U.S. citizens and can meet the requirements, because it's usually classified, not highly classified work, but it is at a low-level classified work, pretty much like the U.S. Navy is. You have to at a certain point.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah. I mean, I was kind of wondering about materials as well. I hadn't really thought about the labor part of it, and that was good to know. But there are some materials that companies maybe they don't have to source overseas, but for right now, while they're developing their prototypes, they are kind of doing this.
If we were to build full-size U.S. reactors now, we in the U.S. don't have the ability to build the large pressure steel pressure vessels required. They would be made in Korea or Japan. but all the SMRs that we're looking at, everything that Nature is doing is ordering locally. Most smaller modular reactors want to do it in a factory and everything brought in. Supply chain is still an issue, but it's going to be as U.S. as possible.
All right, any other questions? Okay, I'm gonna, let's see. My last question is, how can you use AI and just social media even, to help with the workforce issue that we're having? Or do you already?
Well,
And if so, what does that look like?
That's what I do. Social media, it's just getting the word out there. But the people that are connected with me are not the people that I necessarily need to reach out to. How to use AI, I can ask AI how to use AI. That's what I would do. I'm not sure how I would use it. But it is a driving force in Texas and other states as well. Those data centers being built, and the leadership of those companies are going nuclear because that's the only way you can get the power they want. So they're restarting 3 Mile, and they're building. Nature has not built their first reactor yet, but there are pads set aside at the data centers where the reactors are going to go. So the AI companies already know whether it's, I don't know about the economics, but they know the politics of, they're not gonna sit there and be able to burn natural gas and operate for 50 years. They have to make that, they have to look greener than what they're doing now.
So it's a great question, and it's a great opportunity for me to promote. So our organization, the Laborers International Union of North America, LIUNA is the acronym. You can go onto any social media platform and find where one of our 500 local unions are putting out videos on a daily basis. And so that is part of an initiative that our general president and general executive board really said we need to do more to engage, not just our members, but the community at large. And so our regional manager gave us a challenge, and he said, I want you to go out and meet members where they are and get out the damn truck. And so there's get out the damn truck videos they've been rolling for over a year. And so we are at city council meetings, and we have anywhere from 12 to 80 members there behind us advocating for a project to come online. We are walking the streets, advocating for worker rights. We are just saying hello and recognizing members at the work site during lunch, and in some cases recognizing our partner contracts for the good work that they do by creating these opportunities for our members to put food on the table. And so again, any platform, you're guaranteed to see us. And what I've noticed is after we started that, we found other labor organizations doing the same. And so I'm very proud of the fact that we are one of the first ones that were out there just trying to show by example.
Well, go ahead.
Are you guys doing much in the form of presentations to high schools or junior colleges for an emphasis on the trades? Because I think that's a huge way to get in with those guys, right? To have them understand they can make money. They don't have to go to college. They can make money right out of high school. They can make
More money over their career than I do by getting in early. It's dangerous letting engineers go and talk to people. So any good organization has communications people that are better at, I can talk to people and they'd be more scared afterwards than they were before. But the communications people that work with the various organizations, whether it's Natura Resources or the Department of Energy, the national labs, those are the people that do the work that have to translate engineer to people talk. But they are the ones that do the promoting on the social media. And STEM outreach is ACU is focused on STEM outreach at the university, but everything we were doing is pushing into the high school level as well. It has to. because the high school feeds ACU, but it feeds everything else. And there's a recognition that across the board, there's a lack of STEM knowledge. Being STEM aware doesn't mean you have to go to college. Being STEM aware means you can figure things out and technical things make sense so that you are technically skilled.
So our time is up and we need to close out. Hopefully that answered your question, but I'm sure you can come talk to him afterwards. And the same goes for all of you. If you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to one of them. And I just want to thank Matthew and Mark. And I don't know where Luke and John is, but they're probably somewhere around. I know you're all headed to dinner. Enjoy the evening, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you so much.